Hey guys, welcome to the Friday wrap. Earlier in the week, I sent you an email and said I'm going to prepare the Friday wrap of all Friday wraps, so it's time for me to deliver. Let's get straight into it. Home affordability. Was it easier to own a home in the 1970s, or is it easier to own a home now? That's what I'm trying to get to. All right, very quickly, the general advice warning. Please don't run out and go and buy a house in 1973 once you've watched this video because you think it's a great idea. Please talk to somebody who can help you to determine, if it's worth meeting your objectives or if that meets your objectives. Let's get into it. Inflation. Inflation is the rate at which the price of goods rise. Over the years, inflation has averaged about 2 to 3% per annum. Have a look at this Woolies. I'll move myself down here. Woolies snippet from 1973. 2 litres of orange juice, 79 cents. A roast chicken, $1.09. A 4-pound barbecue pack, $2.39. How cheap were things? Well, they've risen year on year by about 2 to 3% to what they are now, and that is inflation. How does properties compare when it comes to inflation? Now I need to move myself back up the top. All right, in 1970, the average full-time employed male unit earned $79.20 a week, $4,118 per annum. Today, the average full-time employee earns $1,837 a week, $95,000 per annum. Had this $4,118, had our wages increased only with inflation, we would be earning $47,700. I hope that makes sense. It's an important point. Had our wages increased with the rate or at the rate at which the price of goods increased, i.e. inflation, we would be earning $47,000. But wages have been increased at double the rate of inflation. Nearly double to the dollar, $124 more than double. So we earn $95,000, whereas inflation would have had us at $47,000. What about property prices? Well, we're talking about Brisbane here. Had you have bought a house in why 1973? That's where we could find the most reliable early data, 1973. So that's why we've gone with 1973. And I've said that house prices are 4 times higher. Like, hang on a minute, house prices have gone up a lot. $18,000 is what it would have cost you to buy a house in 1973. $691,000 is what it cost you to buy a house now. On average, that's 38 times higher. But if you bring into inflation, had that $18,000 house increased with inflation, it would be worth $168,000 today. It's worth 4 times that. So, okay, let's start to get a couple of points here. Inflation has caused prices to rise by about 2 to 3% per year. Wages have grown at twice the rate of inflation. Houses in Brisbane, on average, have grown at 4 times the price of inflation. What about this? In 1973, the average house in Brisbane cost about 3 times the average, male unit full-time income, whereas now the average house in Brisbane costs about 8 times the average full-time income. What's the difference? Well, back in the day, 1973, the average house was single income families, whereas now it is much more common for homes to be double income families. If you were 8 times, but you had 2 wages, you reduce it by 2, you're down to 4. So hang on a minute, the affordability may well be the same. What if we take into consideration interest rates? In 1990, interest rates hit their peak at 17%. We all know that today interest rates are at all-time lows. In 2008, interest rates are at 8.8%. Why am I showing you 2008? Let me show you. Monthly loan repayments. When interest rates were at their peak in 1990, the average monthly loan repayment for a Brisbane home was $2,577. In 2008, although interest rates had reduced by 9%, monthly loan repayments were at their all-time high. I'm going to assume it had a lot to do with this property boom we experienced in the early 2000s, 00, 01, 02, 03, where property prices went crazy. So prices rised, loans became higher if you wanted to buy a property, therefore monthly loan repayments reached their height. So in 2008, even though interest rates were 9% lower than 1990, the repayments on your loan were at their peak of $3,250. Let's have a look when we superimpose those together. Interest rates increasing, loan repayments increasing, starting to reduce. We get to this level, but we've had this big boom in property, which is what I'm calling why it's gone so high, where we've had our monthly loan repayments at their peak. All right, in conclusion, was it easier to buy a house back then or easier now? Well, house prices right now are at all-time highs, which makes it harder for people to get in the market. You need a hand, you need a significant deposit. It's harder to get in. But interest rates are at all-time lows. So loan repayments are not at the record highs, even though property prices are at record highs. So if you're in, it's not so bad. What does all this mean? This is what I make it mean. In 2069, 48 years away from today, is where we will be as to what 1973 is to us 48 years away today. So how good would it be to be able to go back and buy that house for $18,000 in Brisbane? How many would you buy? Just do something. Hence the reason for my general disclaimer at the start. Don't run away and do something before you talk to somebody about your objectives and what you're trying to achieve and how they can help. But don't get to 2069, and hopefully you do. I'll be 89 years old. Do something about it. I talked to you about the fact that time is your biggest asset. Let me make myself bigger here while I go on my little rant. Time is your biggest asset. But if you don't do something with the time you've got less time to get the result. Okay? I've talked about and waved my arm around a million times. James Clear, Atomic Habits is the book. If you haven't read it and you like books, go get it. Doesn't matter where you are. You are here right here. You can't do anything about that way. All we can do is this. And what matters is what we do and the trajectory that we're on. In his book, he says you need to master the art of showing up. And that is what this is. What will you do about it? No matter how small, do something. Ring your bank. Can you get a better interest rate? Can you start to pay yourself first? Allocate a portion of your money to a long-term investment. Just do something, because hopefully you get to 2069 and you're happy that you did. All right, guys, that's the Friday wrap of all Friday wraps. I hope you have a great weekend. I look forward to next week's edition.